Oh, I didn't do my hair today. Too bad. We're live. We're live. Okay, good evening, everyone. We're here for Straight Talk with Ed and Doc.
Hi,
And how you doing, Ed?
I'm doing wonderful.
That's
Being
good.
sitting next to you every week is such a pleasure.
Yeah, well, we're kind of in our bubble, but we try and
but-
socially distance.
But do me a
Because I don't
favor.
want to be kissed or anything, you know.
No, don't worry. Just you don't want to be kissed.
No.
Please don't fart on me. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That'll
Well,
be-
okay, I
that'll be-
promise I won't do that.
promise, okay, don't
I
worry,
promise
because I don't
I
want to
won't
be
do that.
farted on. I've kicked
Yeah.
many a woman out of bed. 'cause
Well,
she farted on
if
me.
I
I'll
intend
tell
to
you
do
right
that,
now.
if I intend to do that, I'll have what is it, liver and onions, and then I'll come into it.
Then I'll have
Okay,
to.
right? I haven't
Well,
had
good
liver
thing
and
is
onions
the
today.
good thing is we're not gay and we sleep together. That's the best part.
Oh, geez, that is not true at all. Separate rooms, socially distanced about 20 yards. So, okay.
Hey,
Uh,
hey, yeah. When I'm rubbing your shoulders, you never complain. You
You
say,
never
"Massage
rub my shoulders. Are you kidding? You never rub my shoulders.
Well, think about it. Think about that one, dog.
Oh man. Okay. What a way to
I'm starting to cry. I'm so hurt the way you're talking. I'm starting to cry. I'm
Okay.
telling you the truth.
I
I'm
didn't
starting
think
to cry.
this is straight talk, not kind of gay talk.
Well,
Okay.
Well, gay
straight
talk can be straight talk, depending on who's
So-
doing the talking.
Yeah, well, maybe, but not us. So
Don't make me cry.
Not
You're
me.
making me cry again. I'm telling you, it's not good.
Maybe you need some CBD oil or some of the good.
And you're a
good
doctor.
sativa stuff.
You're a doctor. I'm going to ask you one more time. What do you think of the rectum as a whole?
As a whole, it's not bad. It's better when it's whole than it's half,
Okay, got
for
it.
sure.
And don't drink beer. And don't eat any tomatoes. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, stop eating tomatoes.
So, how was your week?
My week has been a very busy week. I've been busy all weekend.
Doing what?
Everything. I'm working. Like I'm even cleaning my house. You know, I got to get the shovel out because the dog shit's piled up. But don't worry about that. It's
I'm
just
not too worried about
yeah,
that.
they just jump up on the kitchen table.
Yeah, it's all recyclable anyway.
It's all-
So, that's not a bad problem.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Don't make me
But-
cry
but
again.
your main,
Because if I
you-
cry again, I'm going to end up going home and I'm going to have soaking pillows. I hate soaking pillows. I don't want to cry anymore.
I have empathy, but I think I'm drawing the line right now. I don't know.
Right down here because I'm on 6 feet in case you fart.
Well, you've never smelled what I fart. It could be great. I don't know. Anyway, how are you busy this week? What?
Everything. Like I was busy doing a lot of phone calls, people calling in.
Mhm.
I was busy doing paperwork.
Mhm.
I was busy doing my floors.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I was busy doing everything I could to make money.
Okay.
And I haven't seen a movie in so long.
Is that part of your business?
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is part of the business now too, like
Marijuana clinic.
marijuana clinic.
That we're both involved
I
with?
think about that every day.
So I'm doing the medical part on the clinic.
And I do
and you
the
do the legal part.
legal part. And you know what? It's not really legal part. I'm just consulting on it. Like I don't get into any work like in it other than advise people.
Well, that's important.
Well, yeah, it's important, but at the same time, it's fun teaching people, and sometimes their eyes open wide, and they see things that they've never seen before after talking to me.
Okay.
Then they understand things. Like a lot of people don't understand medical marijuana,
We're talking about cannabis.
and they don't understand or cannabis, whatever. To me, it's the same stuff.
Well, after so many years, it's interesting you bring that up because after so many years, even in my practice, when we have patients, for example, for chronic pain, this happens almost every day. People who are having chronic pain, and I offer, we tried several of the usual medications for them, including opioids sometimes. The anti-inflammatories, all the treatments and physios and whatever that are available for chronic pain. And sometimes they still are suffering. And so when I offer them a cannabis product of one sort or another, quite legal, medical, even after all these years when the taboo is kind of down, especially in Canada because it's all legal, they're still against it. So these are
That's right.
people who have very strong traditional feelings. And I've said this before on the show, but the whole myth behind the taboo part of cannabis is really a myth.
That's
There's
right. I
really
agree.
nothing taboo about it at all. And it was not science that created the adverse effects of, or advertised the adverse effects of cannabis. It was politics, dirty politics to say the least. That was in the 20s and
I
30s.
got the story on that. I
Right.
understand that.
And that's how cannabis became illegal pretty much all over the world. It had nothing to do with science. So even when you explain that to people, it's this kind of social taboo that people have. And no matter what, even if they need something extra for pain, sometimes they just don't want to go, they don't want to cross that line and try cannabis products, which to me is crazy because they would rather use opioids sometimes than use cannabis, which doesn't make any sense at all. Not this. Not these
You
days.
have to admit, the people who come in to get a grow license from you,
Mhm.
they're elderly. Most of them are
Yeah.
past the 50 bracket.
Yeah.
And they understand the pain of arthritis
Mhm.
and whatever different ailments they have, like the heart problem that the gentleman you just talked to. He has a heart problem.
Yeah.
And you explain enough to them, and then I explain the other end of it, how you set it up. And you have to abide by these rules.
Mhm.
The rules have to be abided by, and if you cannot make any mistakes on it,
Mhm.
because you could lose your grow license.
That's right.
And you could also wind up losing a lot of money that you've put into it. And there's all kinds of things that can happen to you that aren't nice.
Well, there are a lot of regulations,
Oh yeah, but you have to know them.
and that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. But at the end of the day is you have to operate on a legal level. If you don't operate on a legal level,
Yeah, you can get into a lot of trouble.
you could, but you lose something you need for your personal use. And I mean, give me a break. I
Mhm.
mean, you know what I mean? Everybody likes to make money, but at the same time, you got to grow. What you do is you get a grow license for your family, or whatever.
So you have to go by the book.
Oh, you have to go by the book.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's important.
You just have to go by the book.
But the nice thing from a medical point of view, I mean, Ed handles the legal part. I just handle the medical part. So the nice thing about using cannabis, which I mentioned before, is that it's a very, very, very good safety profile. In other words, the benefits versus risks or side effects are very high, and side effects are minimal, really. Well, the only thing there is that we can't actually tell people exactly how much to take. We can advise them as to how to start using it and then kind of building up the dose slowly over time. And as long, am I making you tired? Am I making you sleepy?
No, what you did was you made me cry. When I cry, I get tired. And you know what happens when you get tired? You want to sleep.
Okay.
So would you let me?
Well,
would you
while I'm
let me put
talking,
my
if you
head?
want to take a cat nap, that's okay.
Can I put my hand on your shoulder?
No.
Okay, just checking. Just checking.
Okay. Anyway,
Maybe you can put an arm around me. Or,
maybe
you
later.
know,
Maybe later. But I don't know. I'll see.
Oh, come on,
I'll
these
see.
people want to see something like that. They want to see love.
Well, what have you done for
It's
me
the
lately?
pandemic. Nobody's seeing any love.
Okay. Well,
Husband and wife are fist to fist. Have you noticed all the divorces they're talking about in the newspaper?
Okay.
I mean,
Luckily we're not married.
I'm walking down the street and I saw two ladies with black eyes.
Oh,
But
wow.
you know what? I saw four guys with black eyes.
Okay,
So
well,
you tell me who's winning that race.
That's right. I hope the ladies want more cosmetic patients. That would be bad if they had
Huh?
black eyes.
Yeah, it means you have to give them some more.
More filler, I guess.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to get back into that filler because I've had a lot of people ask me about it. In fact, I had people today ask me if you can do the veins in their leg.
Yeah, I don't do veins, but I can refer to patients to people who do. I actually train.
How come you don't do the veins?
It's a good question, and without getting too boring and putting you to sleep again.
No, it's not sleep. It's crying. It's crying.
It's crying. Okay. I did do extensive training. I took a 3-day, 4-day course on doing the veins. I did start doing veins for a while, but to be honest, I get bored, and the process of doing it is quite tedious. And
why, more men than women?
It's mainly women, but the point is you have to take these tiny little needles and you have to put them into these tiny little veins, and you have tons of these little needles on that you have to prepare, and then you have to get them right into the vein. and it's a lot of work.
You have to prepare them, or can you?
Well, this is the point. So usually I don't work with a lot of nurses, and I usually work by myself. So doing it by myself to get all this done, it really didn't pay.
Could
So,
you hand it over to your secretary to do that?
well, people who do it usually have at least one or even two nurses helpers doing it with them,
Because
and that way it turns out much easier.
there's
But
nothing I dislike more.
than
I'm a
veins.
leg man. Like, never mind the
Oh.
breast, the waist. I like legs.
Okay.
And if she's got beautiful legs, she's got me.
Okay.
Okay, that's a fact. So at the end of the day, there's more women out there that need their legs done, especially for me. Like, they should all have their legs done, because when they're walking down the street, you can see those varicose veins. You just want to pull them out.
Are you telling me that from a distance you can actually see who has varicose?
And I got bad eyes. Don't forget, some of those people have thick veins.
I don't understand that. I have to actually put my glasses on in my office, have them stand on a little table to have a look at the veins. I'm this far away, and you can tell somebody's veins like from.
Are you
on the
sure it's
sideline.
not while you're doing a check to see if they're male or female?
No. That's
I'm
already
just checking.
that may have
I'm
already
just
been done.
checking.
No. It's just looking at.
Because some of those guys got dresses too. You know that?
That's okay. I don't mind if they have
No,
dresses.
I don't care either.
These days,
I
it
was
doesn't
just
make a
wondering.
difference.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sure I don't can't put my head on your shoulders?
No, please, no. It's but in any case, I don't.
No, okay.
I don't do
No,
veins,
but
but
getting back
have
to the
to-
serious stuff, I've had many requests for that.
I can refer people to good doctors for veins, and I'd be glad. But what I do is I do a lot of Botox. I do a lot of fillers. We have done lasers in the past, but my laser unfortunately has broken down. So,
Well, what does the laser do?
well, the laser is mainly for pigmentation of the skin and what we call rejuvenation of the skin. So,
Will it rejuvenate a scar
yeah, it can actually. It can
completely?
Yeah, depending on what laser you use. Yeah, you need to go on to some of the more aggressive lasers. It can do tattoos as well.
Okay.
Lasers are very specialized pieces of equipment and extremely expensive. And so you need to have.
When you say it's extremely expensive,
You're looking at something
my
like
secretary
$100,000.
is probably the best shopper in the world. Ask her, tell her what it is, and she'll get it for you.
Oh, I'm sure she could. Just to
But cheap.
bring along $100,000. That's all.
Is it $100,000?
Yeah. Yeah, for lasers.
Oh God, I know some guys that
Well, I have my
might
laser.
be able to acquire one.
Okay, for a little less.
Well, some of them are my clients. What the hell, right?
$10. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Just make it fast.
Uh,
Here, take 20. I get that.
Yeah.
Here. It's only $100,000. Are you serious? That much for
we bought our laser in 2010, 2005, 2010. So it lasted a good 15 years.
Does it need
It just hit
repair?
the dust. It just bit the dust now. I brought it to our repair shop, and he said it's gonna, it's like the old days when you had your picture tube replaced. I had the motherboard needs replacing. It doesn't make sense to do that anymore. It's not worth it.
Why? Can't you replace it with the old motherboard?
No, you have to get another motherboard, and the motherboard is going to run about 20,000 or something like that just to get that. That's expensive. Because at my advanced age, I don't think it's worth doing it anymore. That's why
What do you mean your advanced stage?
Yeah, like I'm getting old now.
No, you're not. Look at you. You look about 20 years younger than me,
Okay,
and
well,
we're the same age.
yeah. So, but still, we're still like in those kind of higher up senior brackets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Who cares?
And not that I feel it.
I'm gonna last another 10 years, 5 years more work, and then I'm gonna go on the biggest vacation a man has ever gone on, and I'm never coming back.
Okay, well, let
That's
me know.
exactly what I'm gonna do.
Okay, but when you don't come back, you can cry on my shoulder then.
I'll be floating around your house, I'll tell you. I'll be waiting for you to stand at the top of the stairs, and because I'll be a ghost, I'll pull one of these.
Ed, where are you? Okay.
Blow you down the
Okay.
stairs.
Yeah.
And I mean blow you down the stairs. I don't mean blow you down the stairs. I mean blow you down the stairs, okay?
Okay. Anyway, so but I still do a lot of Botox and fillers. I've had what is it now? Almost 20 years experience doing Botox and fillers, and that's quite that we still do. Except with COVID, of course, it's gone down a little bit. Certainly in our neighborhood because of the lockdown. Very few cases going on right now. But I do go up to Collingwood to do it sometimes. and areas outside.
Well,
of
we're
the
gonna
GTA.
this place here for Botox, ladies and gentlemen who are listening. If you ever want to come down and get Botox, he tried it on me, and look what it did.
You have to see the before and after. The before picture was terrible, and he looks much better now.
Look,
So,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
You gotta find
Well,
it.
it's worn off now because I can see him moving his face and everything. So,
You watch my eyebrows drop now. They couldn't drop before.
yeah.
You know, you stuck me with all those needles, and you laughed.
After we did the Botox, you weren't surprised about anything after that.
No, I wasn't
No.
surprised about everything.
This never happened.
It's just, I hate it when I get up. I hate it when I get up. Never mind. I don't want to go there.
Good.
I was thinking of getting up on your table for an examination.
Okay.
I don't want that. You know what I mean? You're my doctor and everything, but there's no way I'm getting on a table on my all fours and having an examination. It's not going to happen.
That is some bloody
It
weird
is not
fantasy
gonna
because I never did that ever. That is definitely a fantasy of yours. I never did
No,
that.
it's not a fantasy. It's a fear.
I think we scared away our separate ways.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah,
There's
so
a
we
lot
do
of
that.
people out there saying, "What a pig," but I'm not really a pig.
No, Ed's a very smart guy. Ed's a very nice guy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting so close to him. But no heads on shoulders or anything like that. In any case, so that's what I do too. So I do marijuana prescriptions. I've been a family doctor for 42 years, so I have some experience in that area as well.
Since what year? 1974.
76.
76.
Yeah.
Okay, I broke into my shit in 1974.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so we're about
Same
the
thing.
same.
See, I left Montreal before you did.
What year was that? What year
Well, I
was
left Montreal in 71 when I went sailing, right? And I only went back for a few times.
I left in 79 after, that was during the Levesque separatist
actually,
issue.
I was there for a visit while I was, you know what I mean?
Well, my wife and I were all ready to buy a house in one of the suburbs of Montreal.
Which one? Which are you going to?
Well, we're looking at South Shore, anywhere in the South Shore.
Yeah, I lived on the South Shore for a bit.
And because she lived in Brossard. And,
I lived in La Prairie. I lived in Ville-Jacques-Cartier. I lived in Longueuil.
Well, we were looking in that whole area. We're looking at St. Bruno. We're looking at
St. Bruno is nice.
Nice neighborhoods.
You know that mountain in St. Bruno?
Yeah.
One of my friends picked me up. He had just got a Jeep,
Mhm.
and it had a winch on the front. That big mountain.
Yeah.
Has a tree at the top. And he says to me, "We're going to climb that mountain."
Mhm.
So he climbs the mountain. He goes up and he hooks the winch on the front. I'm sitting in the Jeep, and he hooks it to a tree, which was maybe 20 or 30 feet back from the cliff. Hooks it to a tree. Now I don't know what he's doing. He's passed on. He's my brother-in-law's brother. He's passed on. Next thing you know, I'm riding up a mountain, that mountain, in a Jeep, go straight up.
But he had it attached to the tree.
Yeah, attached to the
So
tree.
you could be almost vertical and you wouldn't fall out.
We were.
Yeah.
We were vertical.
Wow.
We were vertical. And I'm going there, oh boy, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, great
He had some experience, I guess, doing that.
Well, he was 21 and I was 15 or something like that.
Well, those were interesting times in Montreal. Canada at the time was kind of almost falling apart with the Quebec separatist issues and them wanting to be separate countries and whatnot. And although some of those feelings were understandable, what's happened since then in Quebec has been almost like a miracle. I mean, they were worried about
they are the best governed province in Canada, and you can see it by the people that live there. They separate the poor from the poor,
Mhm.
and they mix them in with the average people and the rich people. They mix them in, and not only that, they look after their people. I mean, you don't see how many times have you seen anything in the news about going to an old people's home and have people dying there where they shouldn't be dying, all the bed sores and stuff like that. It's disgusting, Toronto. It's disgusting.
Well, they've had those cases in Quebec as well.
Well, not like here.
No, not like here, but
Not
Quebec.
even close.
Quebec has definitely matured, but of course, in the 70s and 80s, there was a strong feeling of xenophobia, because there was still this issue of, trying to maintain the French language and the French culture.
Well, they maintained it. It's here.
But how did
It's
they
right
do
across
it?
Canada.
But how did they do it though? So I was, well, you weren't there at the time. I was there at the time. If we had come from another country, like if I had emigrated from the United States, as I had done in '63, I would have been forced to go to a French school.
That's right.
Even though my mother tongue was English, I would have been forced to go
That's
to a
right.
French school.
Because you're going to the province, and that's it. And I agree with that.
Well,
I agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
No, not in
There could
your
have been-
case because you worked in Montreal.
But
I'm
there
talking
could-
about the new people coming in.
But there could have been a better way of doing it at the time. Now, looking back, it worked. I mean, they forced people to do it. And when you look now, all the immigrants that come into Quebec, English or French, they are fluent in French, and the French culture is thriving. But in those days, it was the way they were trying to do it. And also, don't forget, they had an election and a referendum which they lost. And
By
Paris,
2%.
it was very close. They almost won. But Parizeau, who I think was the finance minister at the time, made a statement at the time that it was the foreigners, as he called it, and the word he used was more than just foreigners, but it was the foreigners who caused the referendum to be lost. And so what
That's
he was
right.
basically saying was that non-French people at the time caused the referendum to be lost. So he's actually differentiating between the traditional French culture and society and those immigrants or foreigners who are coming in as immigrants to Quebec. So at that time, it wasn't the greatest. And so a lot of us English people who,
Trudeau
and I
fixed
was,
that really quick, didn't he?
well, he did, but I was,
One thing, he's not like his son. Oh, good evening, comrade Justin. How are you this day? I hope that your family's all healthy and they stay healthy for as long as you can. You know what I mean?
well, Justin's father was totally different. I mean, Justin's father,
yeah, he was.
what he tried to do, which of course most of the country didn't want to have happen because of the cost, was to create French bilingualism, English-French bilingualism across the country.
And that was,
I agreed with that. And I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I spoke French to my
100%.
patients in Quebec, but then, okay, that's the one thing that he tried to do was to create all the medical records in the English side of the hospitals, the English hospitals in Quebec. He tried to make the force the doctors to write all the charts in French.
it's just fine.
No, it's not. It's not because you can make a mistake. If it's not your mother tongue, you can make a big mistake. And,
I understand what you're
and
talking
that was a problem. We had to pass a French test to qualify to get our license. I was the first generation of doctors who had to do that. I did pass, and I agree with that perfectly because if you're going to go to a bilingual country, you need to pass the language that they recommend you talk in.
As a doctor, yeah.
And so that was fine. So we passed it. Actually, we had one of the education minister at the time actually watching the exams and overseeing the exams in those days. And I had an interview with there was a panel, and one of the guys on the panel was the education minister. And I remember distinctly, I barely passed. He said I passed, but he says he wants me to take French lessons. And I told him, sir, I can't. I could if I would, but I'm so busy right now. I'm doing my residency program, and I just can't do it. So he said, okay, fine. You just let it go. But that's
Well,
the way
he
it
knows
was.
that anyway.
Yeah,
He knew
well, it was
that
the
when he
first
sat down
year.
at the table.
Yeah, it was the first
sure
year, and
of
he was trying to kind of test the waters and see how far they can go with it.
I found, here's what I found. This is what I saw at the end of Quebec. I found that more people, they disassociated themselves with the church because the church
That's right.
and former Premier Duplessis, they
Yeah.
screwed
Oh,
it wasn't the English people, it was those guys.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I
Yeah.
don't hold any grudge about the scraps I got into with a kid because I understand what went on.
Yeah.
Like they were burned right from
They-
the beginning,
they
just like the indigenous people.
Yes,
They're being burned
absolutely.
right down.
They were suppressed. They were suppressed by the church. They were suppressed by
Everybody.
the British imperial type of setup that was in Canada at the time. So yeah, I fully understand that. But the question is,
The immigrants came and the immigrants changed everything.
Yeah.
And like I'm Polish, you're Jewish, and a lot of people are different cultures
Mm-hmm.
here now, and everybody everybody meets. Some people don't drink, but everybody meets somewhere, and they talk politics. It may be in a club or whatever.
The question is, could it have been done in a less draconian fashion? That's the question.
Yeah,
Did you
well,
have
you
to
can, but
impose
you,
almost like a martial law type of setup, where you're being forced to go to a school that
I
you
agree.
don't necessarily want to go to? Maybe
But
they could have
but
given
you're
tax
not
incentive.
forced. You're not forced to come to the province. That's the key. You don't want it. You want to come. You come in here because you speak French. You don't like it. Hit the road, Jack.
Okay, well, I agree with
And that's
that. I agree with
Hit
that.
the road, Jack. Go find another country
And
because that's why you're here.
And I know I agree with that, but I don't think at the time that issue was actually kind of laid out that easily. I mean, there were people who were coming to Canada, and where they decided to come to, I don't know if it was actually, in many cases, whether they could actually choose where they came.
That's right.
So if that were the case, then if you're forced to go to Quebec, then you have to abide by the laws, which all of a sudden you don't realize what's going on. And all of a sudden you're forced to go to a certain school and all this. Look, in the end, I have to admit, I mean, the effect was that now you have truly bilingual Montreal, where most people can speak both languages. In the rest of Quebec, of course, French is used 95% of the time. So I would have to say right now that the culture of Quebec is preserved very well.
Oh, I would say so.
Right?
I would say
Very
so.
well.
And as far as across the country, you've got French schools. I sent my son to
Yeah,
French school.
that's right.
He was in school for a few years. In fact, I wanted him to speak French. We used to sit in the living room and speak French. His mother didn't understand a thing, right?
Yeah.
He enjoyed that.
And the interesting thing is that the current premier of Quebec, and this is something that I've observed because in most cases in the old days, the French premiers, the Quebec premiers would not speak English to the journalists. They would always speak French. Hey?
I don't blame him.
Well, they always spoke French, and then they had on the English channels you had to have the translation, right? This premier, he does talk. He does talk to the English press in English, and that was a no-no in the old days because that was kind of like pandering to the English.
Yeah.
But now because the culture is more mature, and more independent, they're able to do that and not feel like they're pandering to the English anymore. So which is very good. Anyway, that's my.
We had a good talk about that, eh? But that brought a lot of memories back. But you know what? It also reminded me where I'm from.
Yeah.
Or where my roots are.
Well, Montreal is a great town. I mean, but you know that's the other thing. Montreal is a little different from the rest of Quebec.
Oh, there was the rest of the country.
Just like Toronto is different from rural Canada, rural Ontario.
That's right.
You know, in Montreal, when there was a referendum, do you remember how the divisions were going? How people were dividing up?
Yeah.
In Montreal versus the rest. The rest of the province was basically pro-separatism. Montreal was divided along east-west lines, where the east side of Montreal wanted the separatism, the right side, the west
I
side.
lived in the east side, so I got all the rocks.
and on top of that, the native population threatened Quebec to separate from Quebec if they won the separation on the referendum. And Quebec came out and said, well, you can't do that. Well, why not?
It's our territory.
Yes.
So, and that was a fact. That was a great deterrent.
Yeah, it was an interesting
and here our Trudeau is taking away their money. Like, I mean, we're hurting for money, but here he's got and I'm not going to let die. He thinks we's going to die. We's not going to die.
Well, that has to be dealt with, and it hasn't been dealt with at all, really.
No, I think because he's basically told everybody to get lost. I'm Trudeau, right? And my daddy was the best, and he was. His daddy, I considered one of the best. Yeah. One of the best premiers he was prime ministers we've ever had, but also one of the best politicians we've ever had.
And he had
René Lévesque. I give René Lévesque a lot of credit too.
René Lévesque was a very good politician.
Yeah, extremely good.
Because he was a good talker.
The only thing is he ran over that person, he killed him. That was it.
That's right. But he got away with it too, to some degree, didn't he?
Well, yeah.
He got away with it. But
but I think technicalities got him off. That was all. But that happens to everybody.
I
It
think
wasn't,
I think there was another person in his shoes who tried to separate the way he did, the way he declared it all. I don't think they couldn't have done it. He did it because he was so forthright, and he was of course, he spoke English extremely well. He was very versatile. He's very eloquent both in English and French.
and he was very good friends with Trudeau, and
Yeah, he was.
they still talked up until he kicked the bucket.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
Although he was a little pissed about the Constitution thing, what
yeah,
was left out of
too
it at
bad.
the time. Yeah,
Like
that
this,
was,
you know what? When they brought in the Constitution, when they came in and they said we're under the Charter of Rights,
Mhm.
the laws are going to be changed, and which it did. And they said back then it would take 10 years
to change.
to change. I think it was 1982, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
something like that.
Everything could change, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, the, the biggest screw ups in the world happened then. The
Yeah.
biggest screw ups in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, it was almost a separation. I mean, they
It
came
came
very,
back
very
close.
close.
But
Very,
a lot
very
of people
close.
died. We got Cross died for no reason.
Yeah. No,
We
Cross
had-
didn't die. It was the other guy.
Who?
It was what's his name? No, Cross was the
Lapierre.
Lapierre. Yeah, Cross was the emissary.
Yeah,
The,
but they killed people. The guy who killed him, his name was Rhodes.
that's right.
He got out of jail,
Yeah.
and then a couple of years later, he's an alderman. Give
Yeah.
me a break.
Yeah,
Give me
that's,
a break.
that's
You
pretty
murdered
crazy.
somebody,
You murdered somebody.
and that was the stupidest move that any Quebecer had ever made, voting for that man,
What does that
because
say?
he's a murderer.
What did
And
that
that's
say
it.
about the population at the time and the attitude at the time?
Yeah, but
People were right wing, pro French,
Yeah.
and there was an undercurrent of support for separatism,
that's right.
and that's how he got elected.
Yeah.
And they didn't care that he killed a minister.
Yeah, they
That's
didn't
what
care. And you know what? To do that, it's like people. If Trudeau thinks that these people here in Canada, even the immigrants, are going to vote him back in, it's not going to happen. You just stole. You just took what should have been given to people who don't have the money to eat with.
Yeah.
And they're living on the friggin' street, and here you are, and there's more to it. They never even touched the surface of that. I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
I know my investigations because I have to do it. Your battery is running low. That's just right. Well, let me just close that.
Yeah. So, well, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, but in any case,
Yeah, we're talking old socks here.
but it's
The
no,
new
but
socks are how much time we got left?
You got plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
Anyway, so that's a little bit of our politics, and these days also, what's the big political issue right now? The virus thing, the COVID thing, what we're doing about that.
Oh, I forgot.
Numbers
I had
are
some.
getting worse.
One more thing. I had somebody call me up today.
Mhm.
Did you hear that idiot Tory I didn't get to see it. Tory on TV.
No, I didn't see that TV.
I didn't see it either. He says he's an idiot. This
What
guy.
did he say?
I don't know what he said, but the guy's telling me he's an idiot. I says, well, I know that, but people don't know that. He's not an idiot. He's a very, very clever man.
Well, the biggest issue right now with COVID is the question of allowing the economy to function as best as it can under the circumstances versus people getting infected. And I was just listening to the head of a large company talking today. I forget her name. It was the head of Indigo. I think her name is Reitman. I can't remember her name, but she was the head of Indigo talking about how they think that they should be allowed to open their stores up to make money. And they've had their own statistics, and they claim that, and I think partially she's right, that much of the increase in the cases do not come from that retail sector. But I think you have to look at
Sure, because they're closed. I mean, come on, why open them up if they're not taking it?
Exactly. Some of them are totally closed. But I think she's partly right. I think depending on what kind of store you have, you may be able to open up and still get away with it without causing an increase in infection. But it depends on what kind of store you have. If you have a bar, that could be a problem because bars, by definition, is a social interaction type of setup, and you may be drinking 6 feet away. But after a couple of drinks, how many feet away are you going to be from the next person after you start drinking?
Depends how much you like her or him.
Yeah. or you have somebody who wants to cry on your shoulder after a few drinks, what's going to happen then?
You're just hinting again. You're hinting.
Anyway, so that's one thing. So she's partially right, but you gotta, and I think our premier, who I know you support and I support as well,
Big time, big
Doug
time.
Ford,
This guy is put in there, and they're taking shots at him. They have no
they are
right to
taking
take
shots at him.
this man.
And what he said about the stores was right. I mean, he's not a medical guy. He admits that he's not a medical guy. He is a businessman by definition. So if you look at anybody who would want to encourage business, it would be him. And he's trying to walk the fine line of keeping the numbers down, but keeping the businesses open as much as possible. And he tried that, and in August, September, October, the numbers were going like crazy high, probably because of the bars, and maybe also the schools. We're not really clear on that yet. That was my concern. The schools were going to cause numbers to go up, right? And so the numbers went up, and so he had to take action. There's no choice. Why? Because right now many of the hospitals are approaching capacity, and not only in general beds, but especially in ICU beds. And if you don't have enough ICU beds to handle the virus, then we're going to have people dying because somebody's going to have to make a decision whether they will get a ventilator or not. And that's a big problem.
But you know what? The end of the day is the greedy are always there, and they don't care about the dangers. The guy who got arrested the other day for keeping his restaurant open. I mean, how can you do that? And that was just a ploy. That was a ploy.
I think he was a little bit of grandstanding, right?
Oh, big time grandstanding. He was grandstanding to make money, and he got it in the butt.
Well, he got advertising. He got a lot of advertising.
And he got a lot of people down there.
And he got a lot of people infected because there were people down there without masks.
That's right. I'd like to know the count on that. And also, if somebody does it again, send them in to take care of business because they got it and explain, right? But these people disappear. They don't want to appear to be, I had coronavirus. I've never heard one person say that.
Oh, they wouldn't say that.
No, they're not going to say that because they're going to afraid you shake your hand.
Of course.
I wouldn't care less. I used to shake people's hands at that age. I didn't give a shit.
The one thing though, which is correct, is that there aren't too many studies which show that the regular restaurants who had followed the law, who had followed the recommendations of the health people, there's very little evidence that there was a lot of positive cases coming out of restaurants. Now, bars may be different, but restaurants themselves, they put up the plastic barriers, they limited the number of seats. They would have limited the number of seats indoors. They were cleaning services down. There really isn't a lot of evidence that the numbers had increased based on those. And you can't blame them for spending thousands of dollars to try and keep open as the health people wanted them to do. And then after that, what happens? And the health people say, well, the numbers are going up, now you have to close down totally. So they spent thousands of dollars trying to get ready, and then they were shut down anyway. And that's, it is. That's a really tough situation for people.
Yeah, but it's like us too. They're running out of money. And like here, we're lucky up here. We got space that it's an emergency situation here too for a lot of people, necessary.
Yeah.
And also too, we're lucky because we're interviewing our clients right in the clinics.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And now we're going to be doing shows in different restaurants, and if the restaurant's ever open.
Well, if they're not open, that'd be easier to do a show.
Yeah, but also too, we're going to be doing it in different types of environment. We can move now from one environment to the other in a matter of hours, right?
That's right.
Because we got all that equipment for the. Oh, by the way, we're on a YouTube channel. It's called Ed Doc. Actually, it's called E.F.B Promotions. So you can dig that up. We're on it tomorrow night at 9. I don't know who's going to be on it with us, but I do know that Victor was supposed to be here right now, and he's not here.
So are we going to have the show tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we're going to have the show because then
we'll have to discuss what we're going to do for that.
Well, we're going to have to do something.
Of course we'll have to do something. Right,
and something because now it's universal, right? So it's right across the board.
So just getting back to other issues. So we've discussed what I do. What about what you do, Ed? So you're doing the legal part for cannabis. You also do accidents. right?
Yeah, I do. I
You
get
handle,
people come in,
accident
I
cases.
interview them for accidents and send them off to lawyers or whatever, whoever comes in. And
You also
so
handle traffic tickets,
no, yeah, but I don't go to court on them anymore. Like
but you can still handle the traffic tickets.
pardon
You
me?
still can handle.
Oh, yeah, I give it out to people. I don't want, my court days
delegate.
are finished now.
You delegate.
I don't want to go to court again. But at the same time, I want to keep happy.
Mhm.
And this is part of my happiness is having fun here.
Yeah.
It's now, there's no rules of going to court. I can't say certain things. I could say pretty well whatever I like and I express my opinion.
Yeah.
In a courtroom representing somebody, you can only express your case, not your opinion.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And so you have to I've been doing that for 30 years and I was quite successful at it. I did liquor cases and guys that couldn't, I had presidents setting cases. I got presidents setting, or I had presidents setting cases in the criminal code.
Yeah. And
presidents setting cases, all kinds of liquor.
Nice.
So I didn't realize that I was getting all those presidents in, and my son found them by accident.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Right? He found them by accident. He says, you got all these presidents setting cases, and lawyers sometimes, most times, 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, they don't get that. They've never done that. They never achieved that goal.
That's right.
And I never looked for the goal, but I got the
You
goal.
got it. Yeah.
I scored.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'd like to I'm gonna go back on the retirement status, and I'm gonna get my resume up, and then I'm gonna start doing whatever I'm doing. The entertainment. I worked in the Brampton Symphony Orchestra.
Mhm.
My son was president, but really I was.
Yeah.
Really. But at the same time, it was helping kids. We never got paid for it, but I love doing it. I introduce new talent.
Yeah.
I have a habit of picking up new talents. We got 7 minutes left. You know what that means? Somebody's knocking on the door here. I hope it's Victor.
It's not.
Well, anyway, somebody's at the door. But the whole thing is, I've enjoyed my life right up to now. I did the policing. I sailed for 3 years. I saw things that no human being should see, not only as a policeman, but as a sailor.
Well, you should tell people about your video again. Remind them if they can look up the video.
Oh, you can look up the
on what is it, TV Ontario.
TV Ontario, but it's right on my Facebook
Oh,
too. If you go on the Facebook,
Is it on YouTube? Isn't it YouTube too?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, but it's on TVO.
What's it called?
It's called Copper's Documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a show on that. I've had fun, but I've done a lot of things that the guys haven't done, and I think that I go forward with it. And whatever people say, I don't care what they say. It's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't do anything nasty. I don't do anything illegal, and I don't put my head on your shoulder. You know what I mean? That was nice of you. That was nice of you not to be so nice to me like that. I'm not tired anymore, so I don't want to put my head on your shoulder.
Cool. I'm happy about that.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to grab the back of my head. That's the problem.
So, yeah. So,
pull me away.
yes, well, no doubt. I'm going to do that.
Smokey don't do that either.
So, okay, so,
I hurt my wrist again.
so that's what you do, and we talked about what I do, so people now know each
Oh
other.
yeah,
By the way,
we work together. We're sort of like Mutt and Jeff.
actually, how did we meet? That's a good point.
I can't remember. You gave me a marijuana license.
That's right. The prescription.
Yeah, you gave me, and we became friends right after that. Right
Well,
away.
just before the marijuana law started moving forward, we did.
That's right.
I got you a license, and I think we met through a mutual acquaintance. I guess a friend of mine, an acquaintance of yours, and through them, I think you came to get the marijuana prescription.
Yeah, I came. Yeah, so I got
medical
it.
prescription.
Yeah, you know, it was.
That wasn't a prescription even in those days. It was a license. You had to get a
Yeah, I
license.
still got that license.
That's right. That was from. That would have been about 5-6 years ago now.
Oh, more than that, 7.
I think so.
Yeah, about 7
It's a
years.
long time ago now. So yeah.
But we became good friends,
Yeah.
and you know what? He's been home to my house and had dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Ask him if he's
Met your
invited.
family.
Ask him if he's invited me to his house for dinner.
No, I haven't. That's
Haven't.
right.
But that's okay.
That's
Don't
okay.
worry about that.
Yeah, I know.
You
I'm
haven't.
getting guilty.
You haven't got
I'm
any.
getting guilty now.
No, don't feel guilty because you don't have
My grandmother does that, my wife does that, and now you're doing that.
I want to put my head back on your shoulder. No, I mean, not joking around.
No,
I know
okay.
the distance.
I'm only kidding. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm joking around.
Not really,
At the
no.
same time, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
No,
But we have had dinner together
well, many times.
in many
Many
many areas too.
Actually, I even smoked a joint with you.
Yeah.
I even smoked a joint with you. That's true.
Only one.
Yeah, I don't smoke a full one, you know that. I don't smoke a full one. I
Well,
smoke.
once in a while, right?
Yeah, well, we got that bong out there.
Because you don't drink. You don't drink.
No, not at all.
And I barely drink.
Yeah,
Barely.
So, what else we do? We sit out in the backyard and have a bong.
Yeah. And, again, I don't have any qualms about it, because again, I've mentioned this before. I believe that we do have recreational drugs. It's part of our civilization. It's always been that way. In ancient Africa, Egypt,
Magic
the old
mushrooms.
world.
Have you ever tried those?
Everybody tries it. Actually, not.
No? Never tried magic
Have you?
mushrooms? No.
In any case, the point is that there are recreational drugs out there, and marijuana is absolutely the safest one available right now, and much safer than alcohol. So the hypocrisy of promoting alcohol everywhere and limiting cannabis as a recreational drug does not make sense to me at all.
Doesn't make sense to anybody. I don't think. Makes sense to the guy. Makes sense to the guy who put the tax on it. Like I think what's his name?
Trudeau.
You mean Justin? You mean Conrad? He did that?
Well, let's
son of a bitch.
Okay.
That means all that money you use for we worked for. Hey,
let's kind of qualify that, because Trudeau didn't start a sin tax. I mean, sin taxes were around way before. Back in the 30s and the 40s, there were sin taxes, right? Taxes on alcohol, taxes on cigarettes, taxes on I don't know whatever sins you can think of.
Well, there's all kinds of sin in Toronto now. There's no taxes on cocaine, is there?
But that's illegal. So
yeah.
But if it was legal, they would make a tax on it.
Yeah, it's going to be certainly.
Cannabis has a tax, and that's now legalized. So now people have to pay extra money for the taxes and whatnot.
But you know what? It's not fair to the public. GST and PST funding.
Well, that's another issue. But the point is that the way they advertise and make it so socially acceptable.
That's the grow license that costs you a lot less.
Yeah.
So if you want a grow license, come see the doctor.
Anyway, that's another issue. But,
I get it. But the bottom line is, everybody is here on a serious level, but a comedy level too. I like to bring some comedy to the table, because sometimes people don't listen unless they want to laugh, and especially when you get old, you don't want to sit there and watch serious shit. You want to watch something that can make you happy, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you're alone, and there are a lot of people alone out there
especially now.
Especially now. Yeah, especially, like I said, I was joking about the divorces before, but these things, I've watched it, and I sit there on my step, smoke my cigarette, and I watch the difference from the beginning when they went off till now, and now they're not. The sort of steps changed, when they're walking hand in hand. They're not walking hand in hand anymore. Oh, he's behind her now, and she's ahead. There's something wrong here. And then next thing you know, she's walking alone, or he's walking alone.
Well, let's face it. Sometimes in marriage, it's barely coming together. They have these unwritten contracts that allow them to work together, but there's more stress, and all of a sudden
you see the pay-per-view thing with Fraser for the fight. Have you seen that?
The old guy?
Yeah.
I
haven't seen any of it.
I just saw part of it, but I didn't see the whole thing. But just hearing that happened to me was a miracle in of itself. The fact that they actually got together to fight.
Yeah, but the bottom line is it was.
He's 58, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, 58. How did he do? I didn't get a chance to see it. I didn't have time.
What's the guy's name?
Mike Tyson.
To fight at 58. He looked pretty good for 58.
How was he doing in the ring?
I only saw part of the match, so I
don't even know who won.
Me neither. There was a little. There wasn't a lot of kind of the usual kind of dancing around that the fighters usually have, the boxers usually do.
But
they were so giving some really heavy punches. So
Yeah,
to
but
me, that looked pretty good.
yeah, but at the same time, they people wanted to look at it.
Yeah.
They wanted to see it, and they didn't want to see it for the skill. They
It's
want,
just the phenomenon, the fact that
Yeah.
there are older people maybe able to
yeah,
do
not
that,
only the phenomenon,
which
his
is
history.
inspiring, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, let's see what he looks like now, because I'm old now too.
Yeah.
We're all old, and there he is.
Well, actually, he's not that old, but he's old for a fighter. That's for sure.
Oh, big
I mean,
time,
58
big
isn't
time.
old, but for a fighter, he's pretty old. So.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know what he did. I would have liked to seen him move, but I was too busy doing my thing, right? But
Well,
that's the way people are right now. When they watch us, I was explaining to you to make them laugh. People watch us, and basically 15% of the population is elderly,
Mhm.
right? So they're past the popping and jumping and doing all that stuff, and they want to see something that will make them either laugh or cry.
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because they're all alone, and whether you cry or you laugh, it's good for you.
Yeah, it can be good.
You know, you get rid of your frustrations. But if you laugh, that gives you a big high, because I laugh every morning when I get up.
Mhm.
And I
Well,
laugh today. I come up with things that you see. I don't think about these things. They
Yeah.
just come.
well, that brings up a point. I mean, if people do listen to us, I'm sure there's at least maybe one person somewhere in this world listening to us. If
Oh, I think
if
there's
you-
a lot more than one.
if
you
you
got
have,
somebody calling in, live chat.
if somebody wants to talk to us or wants to send us a message to discuss some issues, have any opinions about the show, have any topics that they'd like to raise,
Yeah,
I'll be glad to. We'll be glad to talk about that. We'd be glad to research it and talk about it. So if we don't know about it, we'll admit it. We don't know everything.
No.
Like I used to tell my kids that Dad knows almost everything, but not everything. So so we could discuss that. So maybe you guys who think that you are alone, you're not alone, and we could talk about different subjects, even if they're medical subjects. I can't necessarily treat your conditions online as a licensed doctor, but if you have some general information about something medical, I'll be glad to help you out with that. And if I don't know, like I said, I can look it up. So, and you're the same, right, Ed?
Absolutely. You want to call me up? I got all kinds of information for you.
Yeah.
And
Because we're basically just.
if you want to meet us, you can come. You can come to the clinic.
You can do a guest appearance. For
Sure. And
people.
if you've got some kind of
You want your 15 minutes of fame?
yeah, if you have some kind of business that needs promoting, you come in and you see us, because we're doing the YouTube, as you're going to see tomorrow night on what's it called? E.F.B Promotions.
Yeah.
And you'll see what we'll do. And we're going to promote a few places right now, and a few different people that are in different walks of life, and promote their business. So we want people to enjoy it, enjoy our show, see what's new out there, and also have a laugh and cry if you want.
Anybody has some good jokes? Hey, bring them over.
Yeah, but all mine are kind of tainted.
Yeah, I know.
They're all tainted. Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell.
That's why I didn't
joke.
ask Ed to do it. I just asked him.
No,
to go
yeah,
out there.
if you feel like you're a comedian and you're a good comedian, give us a call, because we'll have comedy night. We're planning that. Actually, we're planning that just before this show. We're going to have some good fun.
That would be fun. I like that.
That's a good idea.
That's
We're
a
going to
great
do
idea.
that.
Yeah.
And so you got to practice the talk, right? I can do that.
I'm not.
Will be
really-
that night. I'll guarantee you.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh.
Well, we try to make people laugh.
Listen, I made you a great interviewer, and now I'm going to make you a great comedian.
You made me a great interview.
Yeah, I made you a great interviewer. You can interview anybody now on any subject in the world.
Maybe Trump won't be busy in a few weeks. Maybe we can get him.
No.
Hey.
That's not going to happen. That's
Trump. Hey, listen. Go
Okay.
for the top, right?
Well, you know what?
He's going to.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen. He might see our show and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be on that show. Fuck him.
Do you think he'll come to Canada? You think?
Oh, I think Trump, now he's not president, he's going to look at Canada.
He's just going to look.
He should have been smart, and when he took power, bought the whole country, and he could have give
Well, of
everybody
course.
$1 million each, and we would have been American. I put money on it. The only thing I don't like about the American law is everybody can carry a gun.
Guns.
I don't believe in that.
Crazy.
I will never believe in that.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Even as a policeman, I thought when I was a policeman, I thought that policemen shouldn't carry guns.
Well, I have a bit of an opinion on that, and I understand where they're coming from, but I think they take it too far a degree. I mean, you know, they come from the tradition of militia.
Yeah, I understand.
They had the
that.
amateur soldiers coming from the 19th or the 18th century, and the idea behind this is so that if, let's say, the government something like okay, let's say the Nazi government. Let's give an extreme example. If a government like that, a totalitarian government gets elected for whatever reason, then you have an underlying militia group who would have arms who can revolt against a government like that. That's the whole idea behind the rules and the constitutional amendment. But
they got an army. They have literally the biggest army in the world because they got. How many trained soldiers? How many?
Yeah, but Ed, don't forget the army is part of the government. That's like the Nazi army is part of the Nazi government.
Yeah, I
agree.
So
we're talking about a government that you want to literally revolt over because this government is totalitarian.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Yeah, but the trained people, those people are trained because most of the young men can shoot the eyes out of a rattlesnake at 50 paces,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And they understand being soldiers because how many millions of them have been soldiers?
Yeah.
So they can raise an army overnight, within minutes, basically.
But there are these like right-wing militia groups, pockets in the United States that are kind of dangerous because they really are, in a sense, almost like a fascist.
I agree. I see that. I see the Ku Klux Klan is still alive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you know what?
And they're here.
Everybody's entitled to their views, and my view is they should all be hung.
Yeah. Well, the way
I shouldn't have said that.
Well,
I shouldn't have said that. That was a real naughty thing.
Fascist groups.
No, like I said, they should all be hung themselves, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
or whatever. Well, you're not talking about their penis size or anything like that.
No. They can do whatever. Those Ku Klux Klan guys could do whatever they want with their dicks. I don't care.
Well, I think they're becoming, although they're still thriving, I know, but they're becoming passe. I think.
Yeah, because they're realizing that human beings are human beings.
Yeah, there's just stupid
bullshit that they came up with.
Yeah, a lot of bullshit.
I'll tell you a story. What we did to a guy, or what he was done. What the guys at the station did to one. One guy we had on in our station. He had a big mouth. He constantly mouthing off, and I'm the bad. He was a policeman. He was a sergeant. He was actually a nice man, but dumb as a post. Right? Like he'd mouth off and play, and guys used to play tricks on him. Well, some of the guys. At that time, we had every envelope that we had coming to the station was opened. Personal, business, everything. If you got a business thing from downtown headquarters, it was open. If it was personal letter, it was open. They read it. So in any case, they sent off an application, whatever it was $25 back then, to join the Ku Klux Klan. With his home address as headquarters, police headquarters, right? Well, next thing you know, he gets called down to the chief. The chief went nuts on him. He would have fired the chief, right?
So did you actually do the application for him?
No, I didn't. But I did something similar right at the day I left the job.
But that would have been crazy.
Right?
It's a good thing he wasn't Jewish or black.
No, and I did something similar. You know, they had those racks of magazines. And what it does was they were looking for members for different churches and stuff like that. Well, I sat down and I saw them, and I remembered what they did to that sergeant. And I said to myself, I'm going to have some fun because these religious groups pester you, right? So what I did was I put a whole bunch of guys I knew, name in there, guys I didn't like, or the guys that I wanted to laugh at. right? And I sat there,
And you registered them.
I registered every one of them.
Yes.
But I gave them all their home address.
I wonder whether that's why
They're
don't
not
have
their
mail.
home address, their station address, right? So they'd be getting mail all the
Oh,
time,
jeez.
and the men would think,
You didn't do that to me, did you?
no.
Okay.
Did you get that stuff?
Because I get a lot of mail in my mailbox these days.
I throw it out. It's all flyers, people looking to make money.
Well, we on that note, I guess we'll be around. I guess we probably have a YouTube tomorrow. We'll have to discuss that.
We
And
have
we
to
have
have
the
it
Facebook next week.
because tomorrow, because we started it.
I know.
If not, I'll come in and do it alone.
So we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But have a good night, everyone. We'll be on next week again. If you have topics, let us know. And yeah, we'll be here again, same time, same place.
I'm going home. I'm going to take my dogs to bed, and I'm going to have a good sleep. I'm going to open the window and stream. Oh, go ahead and bye. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Okay.